John will probably zoom in. Paul can't. Steve won't. Steve from Next No Day won't be. And that's
I read those.
Okay, and there's the change order and and the schedule of value. So that you'll know if you look at the bottom line, the line from 24, that is that. Okay, that's how that relates. Okay. Okay, did you see that? The bottom line here, 24, if you turn to your schedule of values, second page. Bottom line, back over this way. Let's see. That's the correlation between these two. Okay. All right. Into order, please. And for the Academy Building Committee. First item of business is acceptance of minutes from February 13th. I move to accept. We have a second. 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 All in favor? The second item would be the pricing, scope, and budget. And brought what we did in between meetings is have the change order signed and approved. That will take care of this phase 1 plan. For the change orders for $849,533. That brings the total to date, not including what we've spent on the original demo, just for this part of the project, $1,024,533. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll provide the itemization that's on this schedule of values. I'll put that on our little budget sheet talking about. But if you look at, for those unfamiliar with these documents, the guaranteed maximum price of $1,024,533 with Next No Day. If you look at page 2 of the schedule of values, that's this one. Look at this one. Bottom of column C, that's your $1,024,000. And so what they've done is they've taken all of the different items, line items that we're going to see happening. And given the value of those, and as the work proceeds, we'll see percentage complete of each one of those items. Okay, for example, under demolition, total completed and stored to date is 111,643. So that's how we'll be seeing all of the different items. Okay. So, any questions on that? And as I say, I'll convert my spreadsheet to be similar to this, so that we see what's been paid, and it'll be more familiar.
You'll have a running total of what's been paid versus what we got left.
What we've got left, right? Yeah, including my spreadsheet includes prior demo and all the miscellaneous things that have been done today. So we'll see the total, like the 1.7, as opposed to just the 1.
Correct, because that's the total.
This is
total
the
budget.
Right, total. Exactly. So that history will be there. Good. And this will be added to it. Okay. Any questions on that? And Steve isn't able to Steve from Next No Day wasn't able to call in. He did send along an email that had many different photos.
Yes, I saw
that. So there's a lot. There's been a lot done in the interior demo. I'm kind of hoping that John might call in and give us an update or ask questions about the what's it called, bell tower. That's what Paul said. But at this point, since we don't have them to give us an update, maybe we do want to adjourn, that we can follow up the meeting by a quick pop over there and just see what it's looking like. I think that would be good.
You get a whole lot better feel when you go inside the building.
Right, exactly. So I haven't done any more on the mortar, not necessarily the mortar, on the cleaning of the brick because of the temperatures.
Right.
So as soon as we get into some more warmer weather that we would be actually working in, or something similar, I'll start using the kit for the solvents to see if we can get this paint without off the building and what it might.
What's like the ideal temp that we want to have consistently in
Well,
order
about 40.
Yeah.
It's like painting.
Yeah.
Because it's the stuff that we're using, we don't want it to freeze because you've got to let it dwell for a period of time
And you don't want it to absorb into the brick, and then if it freezes, then
it could pop.
Right.
Exactly. And so if we can do it, I would say probably by the time I come back, I should be able to do, because I'm heading out to Florida too.
We're gonna
fly out the 7th and come back the 16th.
Okay, we're flying out the 27th and coming back the 11th.
Oh, you're coming back the 11th. Okay.
Yeah, so.
All right, so you will miss, we were discussing earlier that the 4th, but that's okay, we'll keep you updated.
Okay.
But
I'll zoom in because I'll be
okay.
able to do that.
Okay, but I think when I get back, I should be able to set out the samples that I have and see, I have one that I think will work nicely because it's a gel. Rather than using a pressure washer with some of the solvents. Because I don't want to blast the old brick too bad, so.
Right.
So that's what I'll plan on doing that in April and report on that. And I did have a question for John, so if he goes back and zooms in and listens to this. He's requesting a type O mortar because it's more in line with an old lime mixture, right? However, one of my thoughts is, and one of the things that Ed is concerned about is type O is not structural. It's not, it can be used on the exterior, but it's recommended for interior only. That's the new standard. Now, when we reach out to Quikrete, which is where we get our material and where Jeremy Buzzard would be getting his material and whatnot, because it's all pre-blended, that's what they use for this type of job. So there's nothing else to use for this type of job, but I do think that it's worth talking with them about how we're going to manage between the old work and the new work.
Is the main problem color, or
no?
Is it...
It's the mixture. A type S is really hard mortar. It's for structural build. A type N is more for veneer. It has less Portland cement in it, so it's less likely to crack. Okay. But it's still recommended. It's used for an exterior masonry. Type O is almost no Portland cement, so it's it's virtually lime and sand and other things, but the Portland is the key thing. And when I look it up, it's not recommended for exterior, but it can be used in restoration because lime, primarily a lime product, was used originally. So you don't want the competing, from what I can gather, you don't want the competing materials.
Like touching one another.
Exactly. So, but we have.
So if you're repointing, if you're cutting out and putting the new in on top of the old, that can get a reaction. Yeah, and well, it would handle the weather differently. Okay, and things expand and contract differently. But for the repointing, it's not such a bad deal. That's what they do. But we have new areas that are going to be done. And that is more of it's standard veneer because it'll have a backup wall that's not brick. There's different things for that. So what do we want to do managing those two things? I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an architect. Do they do that? Do they combine that? Would we try using the O for everything, even the new install? Because that's a fairly large panel that they'll be rebuilding. Right, that one on the second floor there. So that's one of the things that I'm a little concerned about. And I haven't talked to Jeremy about it yet, but it's one of those things that we'll have to, because I don't believe that we would be able to match it
exactly. Need close. If they say yes, use the type N for the new build, type O for the repointing, there would be a color difference, pretty much guaranteed. So
well, there's already color variations on the side of the building already.
Exactly.
Versus the original building versus the addition versus some of the infill panels that are there.
Right.
There's variations in brick and mortar color.
Right. Okay. And that's what I think. But again, I'm not an engineer or an architect, but we handle this stuff a lot and we have to go on what an ASTM standard says. So it makes me a little concerned. So, now we had also talked last meeting about, let's move on to topic number 4. The dome cladding. Now there was a document that went out and I think I brought a copy of it. Was this RD Elasta metal? Does that sound familiar to you?
No.
Larry was here. I think Larry's one that sent it out.
Yeah. Dr. Bougie.
That's something else that I think that's why John was going to try to call in, is because it's a product that the steeplejack that he spoke with has worked with.
Okay.
So probably I think we did send this around once, but we should maybe send it around again for John to consider for the next meeting to talk to us if this is a viable option.
Right.
I mean, this is, out of my wheelhouse, but it looks like an interesting product. If you haven't seen it, I might pass that copy.
I would like to read it.
And you had wanted to make sure that we had the discussion about the handrail.
Yeah, just because, I mean, I got confused because we kind of talked about one thing and then.
Yeah.
And what Paul or John was wanting, and then what Steve was saying about the handrail.
Right.
Steve Burton was saying about the handrail and, going with the lesser paint, but whether or not we want to pay now or pay later, if it's going to need maintenance.
Right. And I don't know. I guess I wonder, he's had experience with it, but I guess I would wonder who we would talk to about what a maintenance schedule would be for both. Because I know that we had a wall bracing that was powder coated, and when it chipped, it chipped.
Yeah.
Then you can't touch it up or anything like that.
There's not, so
with epoxy.
right. Yeah. So that's something to think about. But is it going to be anywhere where it could be damaged? I don't know. It's that kind of thing. So, and I'm not sure who to ask those questions. You have any idea, Steve?
No, not really. Other than, you can ask people that do powder coating, but of course they're going to tout their own product.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I'm sure. I've had the similar experience with powder coated stuff. If you get a chip in it, then the water seems to kind of get in behind it, and then it starts popping and going bigger and bigger, and you can't do anything with it.
And then you get someone who wants to play with it.
Well,
and,
kids that are flaking out or something like that. But if you have epoxy paint on there, then you can always repaint it.
Right.
But the epoxy paints they have nowadays, I would think it would give you 10, 15 years, I would think, without, if they're applied properly.
Is there any other building in town that has painted handrail with either of the schools or?
And I know that
I have
gross metal. I don't know how they got away with that, but the handrails that are down the front granite steps are silver, and they're just raw. They're not.
Okay. Yeah.
They're not painted. So
what about one of the churches? What do they have?
The church steps are, the church steps are, I think just metal, like stair railings, not anything, construction grade.
I'm trying to remember what's at the east. There's probably just
wooden. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like wrought iron.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember being down back to school.
Did Steve mention what the cost savings would be to go from, I don't remember now.
Yeah, it was like $9,000 or $10,000. So
substantial.
That's really sizable money.
Exactly.
And would we, in the course of the next 25 years, spend
that much
money on repainting? Of course, when you repaint, you not only have the material, but you have the people do it, and you have to scrape it down and see that sometimes.
But if epoxy doesn't give you the option to repaint it, then and it has to stay chipped.
Right. You mean the powder coating?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's we'd have to have our braces all dipped and stripped and
the only way to replace the powder coated is you have to take it down and re-sandblast it down to bare metal and start over.
Which you're not gonna
Larry.
Well, we can beat this one up a little bit more too, because we're obviously a little ways
from that.
Find someone who could,
but that's
give us a real good feedback on it.
And I think it's important that they know that we're talking about
it.
But what I'll do is I'll plan on just leaving this stuff right on the schedule, so right on the agenda, so that we can, we don't want it to slip through the cracks, because $9,000 or $10,000 is not.
It's
exactly
right.
Yeah.
Did Paul say anything about this, or was it just John?
Just John. Paul was not here last month.
I would like to see what Paul's take is on it.
Yeah.
Because Paul didn't even.
He wasn't on that meeting.
No.
He didn't call in either.
Just John.
Yeah. So it's, I think it's worth leaving this stuff on, because again, even with the masonry, all of that, we have a little bit to go. But we shouldn't wait till the last minute and decide, so. All right. The next item on the schedule, on the agenda, is review and approve monthly invoices. And the only invoice received this month was Paul's. And let me pass it out.
I like seeing those pictures that you sent.
Yeah, I thought
it's amazing to see.
No, you did.
Okay.
Okay.
So what Paul is looking for is $3,100, primarily for him, the designer, and Turk. He also had some work paying for some structural engineering, civil engineering. Right, with the engineering, I wonder if that is when they're talking about the mechanicals too, although he didn't say mechanical engineering here.
Exactly.
Did you get your information that you needed?
Got it under structural and civil.
Yeah. Kilowatt hours, not just kilowatts. A kilowatt
divide
hours.
Kilowatts by 1,000.
Is that what it is?
If you've got 10 kW, you've got, divide by 1,000.
Okay, so take the kilowatts and divide by 1,000.
Yeah. This kilo is 1,000. Okay. So that's
a kilowatt hour.
That's a kilowatt
Thank you, Miss CMP person. So
flashback to days gone by.
Equals kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
And of course it's over time. Just in the course of an hour. Okay. Any questions on Paul's invoice?
Do you need a motion to approve?
Yeah, a motion to approve.
I'm moved that we approve that.
Second?
Second that.
Steve will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Larry. Good. And what the process is for making sure that these go, once they're approved, I email them to Lori and to Justin. That makes sure that they get on the warrant. And I was totally unprepared to do that when I got back last time.
Don't hurry, because they're closed tomorrow because of that pending snowstorm. I'm sorry.
Everybody could get there, they just might not get home.
Oops.
Well, you know,
Funny how we all manage when.
I will have to comment on the fact that it's kind of like we've moved out of state.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid,
We went to school.
ice storms were the only reason. I don't
Yeah.
even know, even then, they tried by putting chains on the buses.
Yeah.
Well, Dad, being superintendent, he would call Pop Wallace, who was the head bus driver, and he'd call Charles Henry, who was in charge of the town crew. And he'd say, guys, you know, he'd talk to one, because of course, God forbid you were able to talk to everyone at the same time. And Pop would say, I'm running my buses. Charles Henry would say, oh, those are ready. And we went.
Yeah.
We missed very little.
Yeah.
So, and, you know,
And
the fact that
the
they.
town office or the state was ever closed down.
Oh, never.
No.
I know. It
Feels
like
that's
we've
what's so
moved.
silly. It's because half of them are on work from home and work remotely for the state anyway. So why do they need to cancel?
And then that one that they canceled and then we didn't get anything, I sat there going, whoa, baby.
Well, I think that Ricky, as I say, Ricky sent out an email to everybody and asked if they wanted to be remote more. So I think they're doing remote.
I think they're prepared for being remote.
Yeah, to remote.
Yeah.
So
It does.
because they all,
Doesn't, I mean.
I think they've met their quota of
Yeah, I think so.
So
Yeah, you put your boots on, and you just.
yeah, get out there and get on the
Kim was
bus.
saying they're already going to snow in the middle of June.
Are they really?
They ran out of snow days
Yeah.
already.
And you know, it tickles me because the kids are like, oh, we can't go to school and whatnot. And hey, I was all for it when I was a kid. But then you're out in it,
Yeah.
sledding, building
Mhm.
forts.
You
You
know,
know,
the kids aren't doing that anymore
No,
either,
that's
so.
They're sitting in the house playing on a computer.
Yeah.
Okay.
All righty, so we did not have Nick a Snow Day. Larry, I was just explaining that Nick Snow Day was not able to get us an invoice for this month.
Okay,
We should be seeing one within the next couple of days. I did send out, and if you want me to, I'll make sure that you get well, you should check your email because I sent along, if you can see, this is a document that Steve sent along today, this afternoon, and it's the schedule of values that breaks down that change order that we got approved this past month. So, and I'll be including that on our little budget that I've done that has a history of what we've done so far. And I'll send that out. That'll go out this week, okay?
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So we'll send the invoice along for Paul Design. Any select, before we go on to select board, Paul sent an email out wondering if anybody was going to be around on Thursday at 2. Because he's going to be coming up and doing a walkthrough.
Oh, Paul is?
Paul is going to be
excellent.
coming up Thursday.
I'll make that happen.
Okay. all right.
Thursday at 2.
Yeah, I'll send him a note then.
Yes,
And if I'm around, I'll.
because I
pop in.
won't want to,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask him to
Yeah.
show up and take a walk through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he sent me an email just before I headed out here, so.
So that's the
16th, right? I don't think I have any other notes from emails. All right, is there a select board update? Do we know? what
Other
day?
than, I don't have so Mark won't be back until April, and I think the first meeting in April, we signed the warrant for June, correct? So that meeting might be busy to have us in. So maybe I'm thinking that it might be the second one,
Okay,
which you'll
would
be back
the
for.
19th, which I'll be back.
Which you'll
for.
be
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll push for. I'll
Okay.
ask for 19
Okay,
for us to just appear and answer questions and tell
Right.
them where we are. And
right,
say we only have enough to do this and talk about the fact that, you know, because building prices have gone up 40%. If that hadn't happened, we probably would have had the budget.
I really do think we would.
I
I
think
think
we
we're
would have
cautious
had
enough to.
And I think that we would have had the budget had building costs not increased 40%.
When you and I were talking, we could have absorbed a 3%, which was pretty standard.
3% a year.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
always the standard, and that's absorbable.
Yeah.
But what's going on. It's not
at least 40%, if not more.
Yeah, exactly. So
especially windows and doors and that kind of stuff.
And I think that we just need to talk about that and say, you know, had we not run into this and this 40% increase, because what, 40%, I had the math at some point. It's about, you know, $500,000 essentially.
Well, yeah, it's half of it. Yeah.
And, you know, so $500,000, if we had $500,000 more, we'd be able to probably finish that interior.
Yeah. Oh, I think so.
So, you know, that's the thing that we have to stress is that why we're only able to get this done to this point is because of this.
It's not
us. Right. It's, you know, we came up with a number thinking that we'd be okay with it.
And then that all hell broke loose.
Yes. And that was, you know,
and I don't think anything that we had control over, whether it was a demo or anything like that, because of what happened.
You know, we've been pinching pennies as hard as we can.
You know, trying not to do anything that's, you know, wasteful.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, not spending good money after bad, bad money after good, whatever.
Spending it twice.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing that happens so often, especially in winter conditions.
Yeah.
Is you end up having temporary heat and that kind of stuff, which is exorbitant.
Yeah.
And we've avoided that.
Right. And a lot of people have said to me, well, why aren't you doing anything now? Why was it open for so long? Well, had we closed it up, we would have had to heat
it. So I think that that's the tack we take with that, and people ask a lot of questions about it. I think Mark is just curious. Mark was the one that asked for, you know, us to come and give an update, and you know, he's curious to know where we are, and that's fine.
Good for
and we've got some hard and fast numbers.
Yes, exactly.
These are the numbers we've got. And it's going to get us this far.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is it's not going to get us all the way.
Right. And I think Nickerson O'Day, you know, has worked hard to find, you know, contractors within the budget as best as possible. And I think, you know, Paul and John are trying to make sure that, you know, what we do get is good quality and gets us, you know, because again, that goes with the, you know, not
good money.
We could go cheapo.
Yeah. Well, and I think
cheapo and everything like windows and stuff. No, we don't.
I agree wholeheartedly what you say. I feel like they are working their hardest to give us the quality that they know we want.
Right. Yeah.
And I think for them, knowing that there was such a tight budget, I give them credit for just, you know, not saying, okay, well, you know, here's the Dollar General version. We'll just do this for you. You know, they know that we want, you know, and our hope is. So I've been really impressed with that.
We're going to spend the money, spend it wisely.
Right.
Well, and I should think Mark Burgess would appreciate what you're saying about the cost of construction going up.
Yeah.
I mean, he certainly will understand.
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah, I think so too. I'm not worried really about Mark. I think Mark was just curious. I'm worried about the people that were so not nice about it back in May when we had that meeting.
Right.
So that's the only
passion.
Yeah. So those are the people, but I haven't heard a peep from them. So we'll see, you know, those are the people that will question it and why we did it in the first place and all of that. And as I always have said, you know, it's a democracy. People voted and approved it. So, you know, it's not like we made you do it and, you know.
And if you didn't vote, shut up.
That's right.
Sorry.
So exactly. Yeah. So sorry, if you didn't want it, sorry you didn't win, but
it passed.
Right.
It was passed, and we're doing the best we can with the budget that we've, you know, gotten approved, and that's all we can do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Any fundraising? Moving on to item 6.
A couple of things. Dr. Bougie brought up to me that he thought that the Peachy family had lived in Monmouth at one point. And so I said, well, we'll just wait to ask Steve if I was going to ask Peachy for a donation, who I should reach out to ask for that.
Gary Peachy.
Gary Peachy.
Yeah.
And is his email address or something on the website or something?
Okay. Sure it is. I can get. I should know. I only worked for him 35 years.
If somebody emails me his email, I will.
We're doing a job with him right now.
Okay. So I'll email him. And then the other question is Hammond Lumber. obviously, and what made me think of it was watching high school basketball, because they have their name painted on, on the floor. And so I'd like to at least, you know, because I know that Nickerson and O'Day is working with Hammond and say, okay, can you either do something on materials for us, or will you make a donation?
Right.
So I don't know who I should reach out to, because I searched their website and there's no.
Donald Hammond is the owner. And Mike is his son, who is the, I don't know what his title is, manager, something like that. I'm sure they have somebody that handles that, but
exactly.
I wouldn't know who.
I wouldn't know either.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking my cousin, so.
He would probably be able to tell you,
but I'm not
sure that he would.
I'm not sure. I know a few of the people there, the salesmen and stuff.
Because we do very little.
Exactly. Well, Dave's going to be at my house tomorrow, so I don't know if he can tell me who his inside guy is, and maybe I'll just talk to his inside guy and see if I'm going to do
Brian, somebody, I can't remember his last name either.
He'll tell me and give me his phone number, and I'll call it. So I'll work from there.
Okay.
Well, maybe Nickerson and O'Day could give you that information.
Exactly. Or, you know, maybe if we
who Nickerson O'Day's rep is there.
Yeah, because he mentioned somebody in an email that he was meeting from Hammond to look at maybe windows or something.
To measure windows.
Yeah. So, you know, between that, we'll try to
rep for Nickerson O'Day.
Yeah. So maybe I'll send an email to Nickerson and O'Day and say who's your rep, and can I talk to them or send them an email? Right. That's all I can do is say no. I'm just sending people letters and ask them. So this is what I have. So other than that, we've had another person do a window, and that's Barbara Horan. I don't know who Barbara, do you know who Barbara Horan is? Oh, yes. So who is that? Is that the one that did it in your name?
Is it going to do it?
Okay. All right.
So Thomas's daughter, he was one of the bosses at Globe Albany,
Tex Tech, but I call it Globe Albany too. Okay, so she did it in your name. Okay. That's cool. All right. So now
do you want me to, like, because I am getting a window, do you want the money now, or do you just want to put down that you know that I'm doing one?
Well, I will just make a note of that, because at some point I'm hoping we run out of windows.
Right. Okay. Because I just want I want the window. It's like, do you need my check now, or can I give it to you?
3 of the library.
Right, that's where I want one.
Yeah, so, and if yours is the 4th, then we still have 4 more.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure,
I sent a message to Scott Davis on Facebook that he didn't respond to. So then I looked up his address in Winthrop, figuring that probably his mail got forwarded to Florida. So I sent a donation letter to him. Okay. And I haven't heard anything. Bangor Savings hasn't sent their money in yet. And then once I get the new updated spreadsheet, I'll attach that to my Stephen King request.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I should be able to have that. I've got to work on a survey tomorrow. It's going to be done and out tomorrow. So probably Wednesday I'll get that to you.
And I just have to submit the Stephen King one by April 15th. So and
everything okay?
I haven't heard anything back yet from Harold Althorp, but that he said that could be 60 to 90 days to hear a response from your submission. Yeah.
So, how much did you ask for?
$250,000.
Go home, right? All I can do is I asked for 100,000 from Kennebec Savings, and they said, "Well, we can't do that, but we can do 25." And I'm like, "I'll take it."
Always, always.
And that little person you had me talk to at Dustin Wood at the credit union, he's like, "Well, we can't give you any money, but if you have a fundraiser, we can give you a donation to raffle off. And I'm like, what does that mean? This is an ongoing fundraiser. So,
oh Lord.
I said, whatever. I said, you do realize that the Walkers and the Trues that started the credit union were both families that graduated generations from there.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, I know that. And I'm like, okay.
No, you didn't.
Ending this conversation because it's not going anywhere. So just like Bangor Savings, you know, they hold all the money for the town. Our money, people get paid out of Bangor Savings and all the money. And I was a little disappointed with them that my answer to his email when he said, I'll give you 1,000. I said, oh, thank you very much. The town of Monmouth does all their banking with you. So thank you, but nudge.
I poke.
Chris, ask them if they'll buy a window.
Oh, I know. I don't know what to do about the credit union.
The doorknob.
You know.
So well, I was talking about Bangor Savings.
Oh, Bangor Savings, yeah. So, you know, because I asked them for 100,000 as well, because I sent the letter to them at the same time I did to Kennebec Savings. And so I don't know, but I'll just keep at it. And, you know, my mind's always working, trying to come up with another angle, some target. Yeah.
What about the Elizabeth Noyes Foundation?
I don't know if she is if she has that, because she did that big thing.
Pineland.
Yeah, and down in Portland that doesn't exist anymore.
The bakery.
The bakery and that big whole center downtown where
but
you
there
don't
is
even want to park.
There is a small town up north that they tried to put a lot of money in to create an artistic community. So they do have money. And again, Roxanne Quimby Foundation, I don't know if that would be worth contacting.
Yeah, I'll look into those. It's funny because, you know, Lori had said something about the Gates Foundation and you go on theirs and they're like, there's no grants available at this time. Keep checking back. And I'm like, what, did Bill run out of money already?
Okay. No, I think their mission is different. I think it's really more different. Yeah.
As I said, we're not an impoverished African nation, so we don't qualify. So yeah, we didn't qualify. But anyway, well, I'll keep at it and keep, you know, sending things. So, and but our total is 55,000. So
that's good. That's nothing to sneeze at.
It's better than none. So
it's very cool.
We've got 55,000. I'm going to ask to have a table at the Mayfair and pray for a nice day, that I'm not up there in the rain. But so to have the throws there and try to have some throws, because that's a different group of people that go to the Mayfair than Apple Fests, I think. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's the same townspeople, but I think different people from other areas come. And so, and then when we have our Academy trustee meeting, I'm going to bring the throws to the Academy trustee meeting and say, hey, trustees, here's the throws, but also, what else would you like to donate?
Chris, one more possibility is the Doris Buffett Foundation. Doris Buffett, who's Warren Buffett's sister. She used to spend her summers up in Camden, I think, Camden, Thomaston, in through there. And I know she left a foundation too.
Okay. All right, Doris I'll look into Buffett. That one. Yeah, I talked to, I think I told you, Doris Buffett, but Doris. Yeah, Doris. I talked to, it was funny, the LAD Foundation. I think I told you about that at the last meeting, because I called the phone number that was associated with the federal paperwork for the LAD Foundation. So I called this Massachusetts phone number and this woman answered and said, hello. And I'm like, oh, maybe I had the wrong number. And I told her what I was calling for. She goes, oh no, that's me. And I'm like, okay. So I forwarded her the email donation. I emailed her the donation letter. And so we'll see anything comes from that, but she told me that they didn't have a lot of money left in that foundation. Plus, I know they give a lot to Wayne to help abate, you know, poverty, taxes, and Wayne and things from what I read. So we'll, you know, see if anything happens from there. So
well, Chris, Pat Ladd, what is it? That real estate company in Winthrop. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
But she's in the family, so you can always kind of talk to her.
Okay.
Pat Ladd.
Oh yeah, Pat.
All right.
Have you done anything with the beans?
No,
Linda Bean?
I haven't. I'll look and down, see if Linda Bean wants to.
I knew he had some property in Hollowell.
Yeah.
And gave a little bit of money to some stuff around there.
All right. I'll do some snooping around in there.
If you can put a big old bean boot on the roof.
So you said you got 4 more windows to go? The big ones?
Yeah, so if Lori's getting that one, there'll be 4 more big ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's all I have.
The 4th, yeah. The next item is time and agenda items for next meeting. Earlier in a discussion, we came up with is it Tuesday? Tuesday, April 4th at 6 p.m. here. Do we have any changes to the agenda, or does this pretty much cover?
well, I think that should be
flexible to if the folks can zoom in or not, or okay.
Yeah. The only other thing I want to add is I reached out to Sarah when I started working on this Stephen King thing to make sure that she hadn't done anything.
Right.
And I got the impression from her that she's at a point that she's busy and might not be that involved.
Oh,
so I just got that impression. I haven't asked the question, but we might want to, I don't know if you want to send her an email.
I'll send her a note
and just see. And if she has started anything, if she just forwards me what she started,
okay,
then I can
I'll reach out to her,
pick it up and move from there. So
okay, yeah, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
And Chris, if you need help with the foundation for Stephen King, the museum, we got a grant from them, so I'd be glad to sit down with you and maybe help answer the questions.
Well, it's pretty simple. And I think that, you know, I printed it off, but I'll send it in. I'll fill out the paperwork online and send it. So
okay.
I don't think that anything here, you know, essentially they asked me the number of people served by this project, but I mean, the town size, we know the population but the geographic area is far bigger than the,
right.
You know, than the, you know,
just the town,
the town.
Yeah.
But, and then a board of directors, which is us. And I know that we're tax exempt and I have that certificate. And so it's really not a lot of stuff. It's a matter of describing the project and, you know, that type of thing. And I've written that out so many times that I have all of that information. And, you know, when I do our board, I'll put down kind of where we're coming from in it, you know. Everybody's a little bit of everybody's background. So, and
Chris, probably Doug Ludwig is authorized to represent the museum's collection. So Doug could probably get a list of what archival materials would be stored there and their usefulness.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I know that, you know, if I need that, but I'll put that in there that we're going to have an archive area to store all the materials, you know, pertinent to Monmouth Academy from the museum, so people can do research there and access the materials. Probably easier than at the museum, because if everything's stored in that archive room in the basement of Tumston, it's hard to get to. Yes. And there's a lot of layers you have to go through to get there. Right. So
you're right.
So I think that this will open up that collection for people to see and use and enjoy, I would think. Yeah. Especially, you know, I talked to Pat Foss about what she found in Donnie Kinney's house. She found the blueprints to the additions. Really? And she donated them to the museum.
That's cool.
Yeah. So the blueprints,
that's awesome.
We'll have. And the only reason I can think that Donnie Kinney has those blueprints or had them was because of the chick's relationship to the past principal headmaster. But I can't imagine why it would have been there otherwise.
It's like a discovery though. It's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty interesting. Yeah.
Very neat. Yeah, okay, we all set?
All right.
All right, so the agenda items and time is set. Public, any comments? Any questions? Okay, motion to adjourn. Second, motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
I'm in favor of adjourning.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks.